Hi, this is Melanie with Hook to the Left, and welcome back to our Stitch Study series. Today we are going to learn the spider stitch. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi, and welcome back to this Stitch Study. Today we're going to learn the spider stitch. For this stitch study, you are going to need whatever weight of yarn that you have been using for the other stitch studies. I'm using worsted weight, and specifically I'm using basic yarn from Mainstays, which is the Walmart brand. You will also need a pair of scissors. These are a pair of scissors that I got in a crochet hook set, which I'll link that down below. And there we go, I didn't open it enough. So a pair of scissors. And then you will also need a yarn needle, and these yarn needles will be used to weave in our ends. This is my favorite yarn needles, which I'll see if they get into focus there. There we go. This is my favorite set of yarn needles, and I will go ahead and link these down below. Why I like them is because they have the flexible wide eye and then a thinner shaft, so I can get it easily through any work that I want to do, whether it's single crochet or treble crochet. And finally, you will need some sort of tape measure. This is a cute little guy that my boss got me, which I'll have another video probably in a couple weeks showing his Christmas and July haul that he got me. But the important part is this is a little tape measure. So this just makes sure that you create a square instead of a rectangle or whatever. So it helps you measure out your square as you're going along, so you make it even. And of course I will also link this down below. And finally, you will need, if you're using the worsted weight like I am, you will need a 5.5 millimeter hook. This is the Clover Armor hook, and I will have this link down below, and these are my favorite hooks, as well as the whole 10 set. That will be linked down below as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the project. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch. For me, I have been doing 25 stitches to start with, so since that's an odd stitch, that works out perfectly. And then I just need to add 2, so that makes my chain, I need my chain to be a total of 27. Make yours as big or small as you want. Just make sure that you make it an odd number plus 2. Alright, let me go ahead and chain my 25 here. 3, 4. Okay, I have my 27 stitches completed. So we are going to go ahead and get started with your first row. And this is not a 2-row repeat, it's a 1-row repeat. It's just really simple. So let's just go ahead, and you're not going to yarn over or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and go into the back loop of the second stitch and do a single crochet. Okay, so in the next stitch we're going to do another single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and then do another single crochet back into that same stitch. Okay, we're going to skip 1 stitch and then go into the next stitch and do the same thing. So single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to do that again. We're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to go into the second stitch from where you're at. Single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet back into the same stitch. Let's do this a couple more times together. And yes, mine does start curling like this. This does work itself out. You can see here where it works itself out. Okay, but yes, it does start curling like this. I tug on it a little bit as I'm working. Again, I know that you guys have been with me. If those of you that have been with me for a little bit, you know I tend to do my chains a little bit tighter. So I'm used to this curling, and I tend to tug on it whenever I'm working on it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and skip the next stitch, and we're going to single crochet into the back loop. Chain 1, and then single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet back into that same stitch. And one more time, and I'll leave you to finish the row on your own. So skip the next stitch, and then the following stitch, go into that, and then single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet again in that back stitch. Alright, so I've got you started here. Let's go ahead and continue on to the end of the row. I will meet up with you on this end. Welcome back, and I am almost to the end of my first stitch. Like I said, it does curl up here, but that'll work itself out in the end. When I was doing this, I noticed that, and I considered going up half a millimeter on my chain, so it wouldn't curl up like that. But honestly, since it worked itself out as I was working the project, I didn't worry about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same millimeter for both my chain and this. But if you don't like that curling, then you are welcome to go up half a millimeter on your chain and then do the rest of the work in your regular chain or your regular hook size. Okay, so I have 2 more chains left on my hook. I just finished the pattern of single crochet, chain, single crochet. Now when I skip this, I don't want to, in my last chain, I do not want to do another of that set. I want to end it as I started it with just 1 single crochet. So I skipped 1 stitch, and then I'm doing a single crochet in this last chain. Alright, and now we're finished with the row. Okay, I'm going to move it up here a little bit and see if it'll get a focus on it. There you go. So that's what it should look like for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the next row. So all you need to do to start the next row is you just want to chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, so in this, the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so you are going to go ahead, like we did with the last project, you are going to go ahead and go in this first stitch right here. And then we're going to skip this stitch and do our, no, we're not going to skip this stitch. We're going to do, it's in between, which I'll go over that in a minute, but let's first do that first single crochet in this first stitch right here. Okay, when I first started doing this project, I had some difficulty seeing where the middle, where I made that chain 1 and where the middle of my chains were until I flipped it over. So on this side you can see better your 2 single crochets. Let me go ahead and go. Okay, you can see better your 2 single crochets in your single stitch, and then you can tell where to go in between them, which is right here. So here is the stitch. That's 1 single crochet, and that's the other single crochet there. Okay, and what I need to do is go in between those stitches, and that's where I'm going to make my next little spider stitch, I guess. Okay, so what I would do is I would find it on the back, and then I would flip it back over, make sure my finger's in the right spot, and then that's where I would go for my my spider stitch. Okay, so I would go in between the 2 single crochet stitches. So from there you single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet again. Okay, and then again I just would flip it over real quick, find the middle of my 2 stitches, which is right here. Okay, and then I would flip that back over, and go in between those 2 stitches so that you're in the chain where the chain 1 space is. That's where you're doing your work. So single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Okay, so let's go in between our 2 stitches again, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to go in between our 2 stitches again. Make sure I got that right because that's a little bit tough. So here's where I need to go, right there. Turn that back around. I know it's a little, just helps me to see it a little bit better. That's why I do that. So that's where I need to go. So single crochet, chain 1, and back into the same spot, and single crochet again. So I'm going to do one more with you. Again, if you have difficulty on this side seeing where the middle of your 2 stitches are at, then go on this side and you can see the middle a lot easier. So right here is the middle of the 2 stitches, and that's where my chain stitch is at. So you see there's stitch number 1, stitch number 2, so here's where I need to go in the middle where that chain stitch is. Okay? So let's do this last one together. Single crochet, chain 1, that was it, chain 1, and then single crochet. Let me do one more with you. Single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this out on our own. And if you need to rewind to see how to find those stitches again, don't hesitate to do that. But we're going to go ahead and finish this out on our own, and I will meet up with you at the end. Okay, welcome back, and we're towards the end of this row. I just have one more stitch to do, and I just did one of my little patterns, a single crochet, chain 1, a single crochet, and now I have this last little bit on the end. It's really just one stitch. Is that where you brought that stitch up, the single, you brought the chain up, the single chain up, and then did a single crochet. So what we're going to do here is just another single crochet. Okay, so it'll go into this last stitch here. It does not need to go into the chain. It can go into the last stitch and do a single crochet. Okay, and now we're finished with the second row. There you go, and I'm going to lift it up so you can see what it's supposed to look like. There you go. And let's go ahead and do the next row. I'm going to do part of this next row with you, and then I'm going to leave you to finish the project on your own. Okay. Now I did it by measuring. I don't even know how many rows I did up, up here this way, because I measured. So so you just want to make sure that this is as close to this as possible. Okay, so however many rows you need to do that, just keep repeating that pattern back and forth, and then just make this a square. And that's why you need that a little bit of measuring tape. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the next row. Chain 1 and flip your work. So you start to get into a rhythm, and you understand where your chain 1 is and where you need to put your stitches. But if you still have a hard time seeing it and can't really feel it, you can always do like you did before and just flip over to the other side so you can see these 2 double loops here, and then you know that your chain 1 is in between. But the first thing we're going to start with, and I shouldn't have jumped the gun there, is we're going to start with a single crochet into this first stitch. Okay, and now we're going to go to the stitch that is in between. So if you look on the back here, here's your 2 stitches. You got one there and one there, so you want to go right here. And that's where you're going to do your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Okay, so again, we're gonna, and basically what you end up doing is you skip the next stitch, and then you're going into the middle of these 2 stitches here. You single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Okay, you skip this stitch because that's where you pull to skip stitches, and you go into the middle here, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the same spot. Skip your next stitch and go in the middle here. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Alright, I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to leave you to finish your cloth on your own. Just make sure that they're equal distant on this side and this side. So your width and your length are the same, or your width and your height, however you want to view it. But you want to make sure that they're the same and make it as square as possible. Let's go ahead and do this last stitch together, and then I'll meet up with you at the end of the cloth. So we want to skip this stitch and then put your hook in between the 2 stitches. Okay, single crochet, chain 1, then single crochet. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue on this, and then just meet up with us at the end. But you see that nice little texture that we're getting there? That's going to just continue on. This is why I'm going to make some washcloths out of this and do a tutorial on the washcloth. It's going to be very similar, except for we're also going to do a border on the washcloth one. But that's a few weeks down the road. For now, just let's get a hang of the stitch. Alright, so I will see you at the end. Okay, we are back, and I have finished with my cloth. Let me move this up a little bit here. I have finished with my cloth, and I know I'm finished because when I measured across this way, I am at right around 8.5 inches. I did inches, or 22 centimeters. I think that's centimeters. Yep, 22 centimeters. Okay, now when I go this way, I am just under 8.5 inches. And then on this way I am at, or excuse me, in centimeters, I am at about 21 centimeters. So that's close enough to a square for me. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten off and then weave in my ends. Okay, so let me go ahead and fasten this off. Alright, and while I'm leaving in my ends, don't forget that if you see anything on here that you like, I do have the items linked down below. And if you are liking the Stitch Study series, go ahead and hit a like on this video, and also let me know what other stitches you're interested in. I have a list of stitches that I plan on doing, but if I find that a lot of you guys are interested in a particular type of stitch, then I will be happy to make adjustments to my recording plans. And see here, next up after this stitch is going to be the up and down stitch. So we're going to see that next. We're going to have a few weeks of textured stitches, so that's what you're going to be getting a lot of. And textured stitches are great for washcloths. So more than likely you will also be getting, of all the textured stitches, you will also be getting washcloth tutorials from me as well. And the difference between the washcloth tutorial and what I'm doing here is the washcloth will be finished with a border. So that will be the main difference between, you know, the two different tutorials. So, but it is a great way for you to try the stitch again, is to go and check out the washcloth tutorial. I think this stitch would also make a great baby blanket stitch. It's nice and closed, and if you use a DK weight yarn, it won't be too thick, and yeah, I think it would make a great baby blanket. It feels a little thermal, which is what's nice with the baby blankets. And that is it for today's video. Just make sure you weave in your ends and put them with the rest of your squares. Eventually we will go ahead and fasten some of these squares. We'll work on blocking and then fastening them all together, and once, so that you can have a blanket. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be the end of the stitch study series. I'm going to continue on to do more and more of these series, so that as you learn stitches, you can start to make your own projects. Alright, so again, thank you so much for watching me today, and don't forget to hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed yet, then be sure to subscribe to this video or to this channel, and you will get more stitch studies, other tutorials, product reviews which are specific to crochet, and yarn hauls, which you guys like those yarn hauls, I know. So again, you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye bye.